Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is October 16th, 2024, and Jean Laporta's opposition has united in an all-out war against the Barcelona president. Also, Barca Atletic are set to get a huge boost as one of their key defenders is set to make a full recovery. And finally, Jose Mourinho wants Ansu Fati. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the Barca News live podcast where not only do I get to discuss Barcelona news with you, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through that discussion. Now, having said all that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to hit the goal kits, give back, or fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the bet us. All links are down below in the description. Now, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment has 3 short bits of news, which I'll combine together. The first one is in regards to our top goal scorer, Robert Lewandowski, who is officially back in Barcelona after the FIFA international break. And of course, there was some worries. There were some alarms going off in Barcelona because, as you know, in the match against Croatia, Lewandowski had already started on the bench because the Polish coach had reported that Lewandowski was feeling discomfort. Despite Lewandowski feeling discomfort before the match against Croatia, Poland's coach still decided to play Robert Lewandowski in the second half. Makes zero sense to me. And of course, during the second half, we all saw that brutal foul on Lewandowski by the Croatian goalkeeper, who went to clear the ball, left his leg extended with the studs up, hit Lewandowski right on the knee on the leg that he was leaning on or supporting his weight. Looked like an absolute brutal foul, which of course led to the red card against Croatia's goalkeeper. And we saw Lewandowski on the floor for quite some time. We even saw him limping once he got up. And there was, of course, a lot of alarms in Barcelona on Lewandowski possibly being injured, especially ahead of the very hectic next week where we're going to be playing Sevilla, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid. But now that Lewandowski is back in the city of Barcelona, he has undergone medical exams. And ladies and gentlemen, the medical exams have revealed that no, Lewandowski is not injured. He has suffered a pretty strong bruise, though, on his leg as a result of this foul. So there is a chance that Flick might rest him against Sevilla, or maybe he only plays him a few minutes. But the good news is that Lewandowski is not injured. That's, of course, a huge, huge relief. Because, again, we need all of our available stars for the upcoming week, for the Champions League against Bayern, and for a Clásico match against Real Madrid. Now, speaking of the Champions League, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it's done. Today, the Barcelona Femeni defeated Hammarby, I don't know how you even say that, 9-0. An absolute thrashing in the Champions League by our ladies, who continue to prove time in and time out that they are definitely the best team in the entire world by far. Our Barcelona Femeni are absolutely incredible. And today they showed it again in the Champions League. Again, thrashing Hammarby, I don't know how the hell you say it, 9-0. That's absolutely insane. Hopefully our men's team can also do the same. And then the last thing I want to discuss during this first segment is that today, October 16th, 2024, marks the 20th anniversary of the debut of Lionel Messi, the greatest player in the history of Barcelona, the greatest player in the history of football, the undisputed GOAT. Lionel Andres Messi debuted 20 years ago with Barcelona on October 16th, 2004. He debuted at the 82nd minute of the match between Barcelona and Espanyol at Montjuic, ironically. because, of course, at that time, Espanyol were still building their stadium or renovating it or something like that. So Espanyol were using Montjuic as a temporary stadium. So Messi debuted at Montjuic, 82nd minute against Espanyol. He came in for Deco, and well, the rest is history, because after that, after the following 20 years were absolutely legendary, where Messi played 778 matches with Barcelona, scored 672 goals, won 35 titles, amongst them 10 La Ligas and 4 Champions League. And of course, he also got the 7 Ballon d'Ors while with Barcelona and the 5 Golden Boots. An absolutely remarkable career for what is undoubtedly the greatest player in the history of the sport, which, by the way, had one hell of a match yesterday against Bolivia with the Argentinian national team. He scored a hat-trick and provided 2 assists. It was a 6-0 win for Argentina against Bolivia. So Messi participated in 5 out of the 6 goals. Hat-trick and 2 assists. Messi, at 36 years old, continues to prove that he's undoubtedly the greatest player to play the sport. And we are very, very, very blessed to being able to live during the Messi era, to be able to watch and see with our own eyes the absolute magic that Messi gave us. All right, let's start with the chat section, and then we will talk about the opposition, which has united against Jean Laporta in an all-out war. It is getting spicy, juicy, crazy. But what's Barcelona without some craziness? Curtis says, don't worry about the opposition. Same thing happened in my country before, and they crumble. I hope so. Actually, I don't hope so. I don't mind opposition. It's part of any democratic institution, including Barcelona, which is a democratic institution. I just don't like how they're going about it. But I'll talk about it in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. And I can never say your name, so I'm just going to call you Ann. Ann says, hey, Mo, will Lamine be available for Bayern match? That's the plan. The plan is to rest Lamine against Sevilla, so he can be available for the Bayern Munich match. Now, of course, we'll know more as the days go by, because right now he's still training. You know, they're seeing how he feels, what the sensations are. But the plan is for him to be rested against Sevilla, to be available for Bayern. Tamba says, hi, Mo. Good evening. Thank you for everything you are doing in Barcelona news. No, thank you, my friend, for watching and for your comment. And Darian says, yo, Mo, do you think these fools could overthrow Laporta? I don't think it's about overthrowing. They're just trying to defeat him in the election. And so far, nobody has said anything about a censure motion, which is to remove a president. I think they're just trying to defeat him in the election. And they're uniting forces in order to do it. Which, you know, again, I'm totally for opposition. I think opposition is part of any democratic institution. Debate, discord is good. Again, I'm not liking how they're doing it, but I'll talk about it in a little bit. And Wisdom says, Fawn is gearing up to run for president, but at the same time, he was quiet during the era of Bartomeu. Now he's talking about Laporta. I swear Cruyff said once Barca's only enemy is Barca, and he's right. Definitely not looking good on what's going on. But again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll talk about it in a little bit. And Adrian says, hi, Mo. Simutoe Adrian, watching live from Zambia. Thank you, my friend, for watching and for your comment. And Mohammed says, hi, Mo. I just hope Hansi Flick don't benchmark Asado, because that guy is a beast. I mean, as long as he performs, there's no reason to bench him. If he benches him, it's because someone else is performing better. And in that case, then so be it, right? At the end of the day, we want the best performing 11 players on the field, whoever it might be. If one day it's Casado, great, it's Casado. If another day it's, I don't know, Gabi, because Gabi's performing better, then let it be Gabi. If another day it's Frankie, then let it be Frankie. We need our best performing 11 players. It doesn't matter who they are. This is a team based on merit. And the best one gets the starting position, as it should be. No one should have a guaranteed position on this team. Only the best should get to start. Wisdom says, Pau Victor definitely needs to play this weekend from the start. He was very impressive during preseason. Don't know why Flick is ignoring him that much. He must see something in training, right? So far, Hansi Flick has been absolutely outstanding as a Barcelona coach. He's turned the team around in a very, very, very short period of time. So I have no reason to doubt him as far as why he's not using Pau Victor. He's probably seeing something in training that we're not seeing. So again, who am I to doubt Hansi Flick given his incredibly impressive performance as Barcelona's coach? And with that, let's move on to the next bit of news, because there is trouble in Barcelona as the opposition has united against Joan Laporta. Now, yesterday we heard Victor Font, who held a press conference criticizing Joan Laporta's and the board of directors' accounts. As you know, on the 19th, so in 3 days, there will be a general assembly where Joan Laporta and the board of directors will present Barcelona's accounts. They will present the results of the past fiscal year, 2023 through 2024, and then they're going to present the budget forecast for the current fiscal year, 2024-2025. And Victor Font came out during a press conference saying that those numbers that Laporta and the board will present are not true, that they are false, and therefore he wants the club delegates to vote no, because these accounts have to be approved by the club delegates during a general assembly. And Victor Font wants the delegates to vote no because he believes that those numbers don't represent the reality, that in fact, Barcelona suffered losses and didn't register profits as the accounts currently show. Well, today, it seems that the opposition have united. Victor Font has joined Som Un Clam and other groups, and they have released a statement as far as, again, being opposed to the accounts that Laporta and his board are set to present on October 19th. Now, the groups that have united are Compromisares FCB, Dignidad Blaugrana, El Señor Ramon, Seguiment FCB, Sí al Futur, which is Victor Font's party, Som Un Clam, which is another party that's looking to oppose a Laporta in an election, Suma Barça, Transparencia, and finally, Un Crit Valent. Now, out of all these groups, a lot of them are delegate groups, people who are members of the club who kind of come together and form groups within the club. The only two possible candidates out of these groups are, of course, Sí al Futur, which is headed by Victor Font, and then Som Un Clam, which is headed by Jean Camprubí, whose father and grandfather were former Barcelona presidents. Now, why have these groups united? Well, they've united because the same thing that Victor Font was talking about in yesterday's press conference. These groups are saying that the numbers in these Barcelona accounts that Laporta is set to present during a general assembly do not reflect the reality of the situation, which is 91 million euros in losses. So these groups claim that the accounts actually have 91 million euros in losses, not 12 million euros in profits. And they want Joan Laporta and the board to go back, do the math again, and present new numbers because, again, they believe the current ones are not true. And therefore, they want the delegates on the day of the General Assembly to vote no and not approve the accounts, and for Laporta and the board to go back, do the numbers again, hold another General Assembly, this time a hybrid one, because the one on the 19th will be completely virtual. They want a hybrid assembly where there's people, in person, and there's people also virtually, and for Laporta to present the new numbers during that new assembly that they wanted to be held. Now, this is what the statement says that has been released by this group, or at least part of the statement. And I will remove my logo so you can read it. But it says, Laporta has the same tics as Bartomeu, inability to manage and a false story. They directly deceive us. In the last 4 years, we have spent 1,041 million more than we have earned, with the aggravating factor that there is an absolutely fictitious operation, such as the value of Barca Studios, a real con that not even the auditor believes is worth 401 million euros. So again, these groups believe that the accounts reflect losses, not winnings, because they believe that the Barca Studio thing is a con, that those numbers from the Barca Studio deal should not be included in the statements. And if they are not included, the statements would actually show a loss and not a profit. And therefore, they want Laporta and his board to go back, do the numbers again, hold a new assembly, and present the new accounts, which should reflect a loss. Now, what are my thoughts about this? I think to already be advocating that the club delegates go there and say no right away, I think that's just going to a general assembly in bad faith. I think what anyone should be advocating is for the club delegates to go to the general assembly with an open mind, not go there and for sure approve the accounts and not go there for sure say no. I think what everyone should do is go with an open mind, sit there, listen to what the board and Laporta have to say, look at the accounts, look at the numbers, ask questions, and then once you've had all the information presented to you, then you should say, okay, yes, I approve it, or no, this is a load of crap, let's vote no. I think that would be a better way of handling the situation rather than already just saying, go there and vote no. Doesn't matter what they have to say, just go there and vote no. Now, having said that, I'm definitely for people holding Laporta and his board of directors accountable. Because after all, like I've always said, unconditional support should only be towards the institution, which is FC Barcelona as a club, not towards the people in it, not towards the president, not towards his board, not the coaches, not the players. We should never support any of these people unconditionally. We should only support the club unconditionally. Anybody who comes to the club, whether it's a president, coach, or player, should only be supported if they're doing a great job. If they're doing a great job, you applaud them, you tell them keep going. But if they do a bad job, they need to go out. So I don't believe in unconditional support for the people who work in the club. Unconditional support should only be towards the club itself as an institution. So to that, I say, I'm glad that these people are holding Laporta accountable, because lack of accountability leads to what? Bartomeu, Rosé, people who went on for many years without any accountability, and as a result, destroyed the club. Now, having said that, where were these many groups when Bartomeu and Rosé were destroying the club? Crickets, right? Now, of course, the reason why many of these groups weren't speaking out is because a lot of these groups are allied with Bartomeu and with Rosé. So, of course, they weren't going to go against their own guys. The only group out of these ones who did speak out was, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember which, Uncrit Palen. Uncrit Palen were the group who led the censure motion against Bartomeu, but the other ones were pretty quiet. So I'm glad they're coming out and speaking out and holding Laporta accountable. But again, where were you when the club was being shredded to pieces at the hands of Bartomeu? Anyways, let's go back to the comment section, and then we will talk about Barca Atletic. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. Eric said, Mo, I heard Barcelona are monitoring Haaland. Laporta has always wanted to sign Haaland. He's always been a big fan. He's always wanted to sign him. Can we sign him? No, there's no way. The only way we could sign Haaland is if maybe he lets his contract expire, which expires in 2026, and then Barcelona will be able to sign him. But there's no way we can afford, I think it's 200 million, his market value. There's no way. And even if he lets his contract expire, his salary, A, it's already incredibly high, and B, because he will be coming for free, he's going to ask for even a higher salary, because that's how it works. When players come to a club for free, they demand a higher salary because they know the club didn't have to spend money on their transfer fee. So they're like, okay, well, you have extra money, right? You didn't have to pay transfer fee, pay me more. So even if Haaland comes as a free agent in 2026, expect an incredibly high salary, which I don't see Barcelona being able to afford. And even if they do, is it wise? The reason we're in the hole that we're currently in is because of the astronomical salaries that we have. Do we want to go back to that? IB says, after Laporta and his team have gone through all the hardship, team is thriving, and now they want to come out parasites to claim it. They make me sick. I think part of it is opportunism. You know, they're saying, no, the club is improving. So, of course, everybody wants to run, right? Who doesn't want to run and be the president of a club that's doing much better, right? Because many of these people were pretty quiet during the last election when the club was on the verge of ruin. But at the same time, again, they're not, I don't think they're being unreasonable. I think they want Laporta to go back and just redo the numbers because they believe the numbers are not true. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Now, if they were screaming censure motion, that'd be a whole different case. Henry says, look at us. We are getting financially stronger. We signed the Spotify deal. We got rid of that shit left in our squad made by Barto. Cunt. Where would be without Laporta? I agree. I think Laporta has done a great job. If the elections were today, I would totally vote for him again. But, this is part of democracy, right? You're always going to have opposition. You have to deal with it. And, someone has to hold Laporta accountable. JC says, Laporta has been excellent. Anyone with knowledge can see that. Reducing debt by 200 million, building a new stadium, all the sponsorship. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the failed promise of 1-to-1. I agree with you 100%. I think with the 1-to-1, it was definitely a blunder because Laporta kept, making a promise. And I don't think you should ever make promises. I think you should say, look, we're working on it. We're trying to get it. We'll see what happens versus it's happening. Then, crap, it didn't happen. Because a lot of the reasons why the 1-to-1 didn't happen were reasons out of control of Laporta. Like the Nike deal taking a lot longer than initially thought. The Barca Vision deal falling through because Libero didn't pay, right? That's not really Laporta's fault. So why drag yourself into that mess by making promises when all he could have said, we're still working on it, and nobody would have held them. Nobody would have been mad, right? Because you see if he hadn't promised you anything, you're like, okay, it didn't happen. That sucks. But we know it's not his fault. It's Libero. It's Nike. But once you start making promises, now it is your fault, right? Hamad Abubakar says, Messi getting older and becoming smarter and more prolific is unbelievable. Another hat trick. Brilliant performance. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch the replay or at least the highlights of the match between Argentina and Bolivia. And LeBron's cousin, says, hey, yo, it's your boy LeBron from Namibia. Bro, Laporta's great. Like you said last time, where were these ninjas when the team was in a mess? It's not adding up. And like I said, many of them are actually Bartomeu and Rosé allies. And of course, that's why they were pretty quiet back then. But now a lot of them are coming out of the woodwork. All right, let's get back to the news. Let's talk about Barca Atletic because the reserve team is about to get a huge boost as one of their key defenders is set to come back from injury. And that defender is no other than Mamadou Mbacke. Mamadou Mbacke, who was here on loan last season, had a spectacular season with Barca Atletic, forming that defensive duo, defensive wall alongside Mika Fine. Got injured towards the end of last season, around April. Pretty serious injury that has seen him out of the action for almost 6 months. And while now it seems that Mamadou Mbacke is near full recovery, and he even could play in this weekend's match with Barca Atletic, of course, now with the first team, which, of course, is very much welcome news for Barca Atletic, who are not doing too hot this season. But that's okay, because that's not the purpose of Barca Atletic. Barca Atletic is not a team that Barcelona created so they can be winning championships. Barca Atletic is, from what the name implies, it's a reserve team. It's a team to create talent in order to feed the first team. So, Barca Atletic not doing too hot. And with the return of Mamadou Mbacke, I'm sure they're going to do much, much better because he's an absolute beast. Of course, now Mamadou Mbacke is officially a Barcelona player because Barcelona did sign him during this past summer transfer market, taking advantage of his injury and paying less than what his former team were asking for. So definitely, good move on Barca. We always complain that happens to us. Our players get injured and then someone else comes and buys them for cheap or something like that, kind of like what happened with Dest. But actually, this time we're the ones who did that. We took advantage of Mamadou Mbacke's injury, and we signed him for much less. And now he will be back with Barca Atletic, which you might say, well, why do I care, Mo? I don't watch Barca Atletic. We care because it'll be interesting to see what is Flick going to do with him. Is Flick going to call him up to first-team trainings? Is Flick going to give him some first-team minutes? That's going to be definitely interesting to see because, of course, we do have both Christensen and Araujo still injured. We only have Pau Cubarsí and Iñigo as our two starters. There's no one to rotate with them. So who knows? Maybe Mamadou Mbacke impresses Flick. Maybe we could see him playing some minutes with the first team and helping with the rotations of Pau Cubarsí and Iñigo Martinez. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we will talk about Ansu Fati. Let's see. JC says, didn't Barca already post a net loss of 91 million and 12 million in ordinary profit? So I don't know what the complaint is about. No, I think what the accounts that they had posted was the 12 million profit, which these groups are saying is actually 91 million losses. Now, I'm no finance expert. I am no accountant or auditor. So I will be watching the General Assembly to see what the board and Laporta present. That counts, the statements, the justification for those numbers. I'm going to see how they're going to be answering the questions. And then I'll make up my mind like a normal person, right? You first get presented with the data, you analyze the data, and then you make up your mind versus these people who are like, no, just go there and vote no. It's like, that's not the way to go about it. Again, I'm glad they're holding Laporta accountable because it doesn't matter who the president is, whether it's Laporta, Messi, or I don't know, Jesus himself, whoever is the president, we have to hold accountable. The same way we should hold players accountable, right? If a player is not performing well, then he needs to leave. If a coach is not performing well, he needs to get sacked. If a president is not performing well, he needs to be voted out. So everybody should be held accountable. So I'm glad they're trying to hold Laporta accountable, but they're doing it the wrong way by advocating that the delegates go to the General Assembly and automatically vote no. And that's the wrong way to go about it. What they should be advocating is for the delegates to go there with an open mind. Don't just go there and vote no. Also, don't just go there and vote yes. That's not what it's about. Go there, pay attention, analyze the information you're being presented, and then make up your mind. And then say, yes, I approve, or you know what, this is all a load of crap, and vote no. That's how it should be. Romain says, hey, Mo, keep up the good work. There's only one greatest player of all time, Pelé, and I do like Messi is Barca's greatest player. I disagree with that assessment. I know Pelé was, as a 3 world champion or 3 World Cup winner, I guess that's a better way to put it. But Pelé played at a different time. Pelé played when football wasn't as professional as it is now. There were many teams in the World Cup where they were literally farmers. And that's not the same way that it's used today where we say a PSG is a farmer's team. No, back then, a lot of teams that used to go to the World Cup, their players were literally farmers, dentists, doctors, lawyers, like people who had a full-time job, had careers, and on the weekend, they played football, and then they would go to the World Cup, right? That's a different time where football was not as professional. So we can't really measure or compare those times to today's time where football is highly professional, where it's a 24/7 job. You don't only, when you're a football player, you're not just working when you're in the stadium playing a match or when you're on the field training. You are working 24/7 because they watch everything you do. What do you eat? How much do you eat? What time do you eat? How much water you drink? When you drink the water? When you go to bed? When do you wake up? How many hours you sleep? What kind of stretches you doing at home? I mean, it's every day. It's round the clock work. So I disagree with that assessment. And JC Bongo says, when Laporta makes promises he can't keep, it takes attention away from the good things he does, and he only has himself to blame. He gives the opposition fuel. 100% agree with you. I think Laporta likes to rely a lot on his charisma. And, he's a guy who shines in the spotlight, who's good in front of people, good in front of cameras, and sometimes he lets that get out of control because it's good to be charming, but sometimes he's like, reel it in, bro. You don't have to please everybody that's in front of you. Don't make promises you can't hold because, like you said, it ends up distracting away from the truth or from the actual accomplishments, like the 30+ sponsors that he signed. That's all new income for the club. The fact that he was able to push the Spotify Camp Nou or the Espai Barca project through, because before, yes, that was planned ahead. 2018 is when the whole Espai Barca project was born. But because of the pandemic, because the club was on the verge of bankruptcy, many of the creditors, of the investors who were supposed to invest in the Camp Nou were like, no, thank you. This club is about to go bankrupt. Why am I going to pour hundreds of millions into a project if the club's going to go belly up? And it was Laporta and his board that were able to convince all these investors to still invest in a stadium owned by a club that was on the verge of bankruptcy. That's a pretty difficult thing to do. It's pretty difficult to go to a bank and say, hey, look, I'm broke as hell. Give me a loan. And if you do that, any bank is going to laugh you out. They're not even going to laugh at you. They're going to get security to kick you out. So anyways, let's do the last bit of news and then we will do more comments. But let's talk about Ansu Fati, a.k.a. Ansu Fati, a.k.a. I'm always injured. Just kidding. because it's reported that Jose Mourinho, I even feel gross saying that name. But Jose Mourinho wants Ansu Fati at Mbacke. Now, Jose Mourinho was already interested in Ansu Fati in the summer in order to reinforce his team in the Turkish league. However, of course, Flick at the time was absolutely determined to keep Ansu Fati because he had seen him in training. He believed that he had a lot of, talent and potential, and Flick believed that he can bring Ansu Fati back to his form before the injuries. And as such, he told the club, do not touch this player, do not sell him, do not loan him. I want him here. And as such, that move did not happen. Now, fast forward several months, 2-3 months, and it seems that Jose Mourinho is once again eyeing Ansu Fati because he's seen that even though Flick was saying that he wanted to count on him, Ansu Fati has not been really getting minutes. And as such, Jose Mourinho has instructed Mbacke to try to sign Ansu Fati in the winter transfer market on a loan. Now, I think that this is the moment for Ansu Fati to shine. Ferran Torres is injured. Ansu Fati is technically fully recovered. We saw him have a few impressive minutes in the last match right before the break. So I think this will be Ansu Fati's make it or break it moment. You either take advantage of Ferran Torres' injury and shine and prove to Flick that he was right about you and therefore earn a spot on the first team. Or if not, I have no doubts that Barcelona will be agreeable to a move during the winter transfer market because Barcelona were already decided on offloading Ansu until Flick came and said, no, keep him. Barcelona agreed. But if Ansu fails to impress her in this first half of the season, just don't see Barcelona wanting to keep Ansu because they're gonna look at Flick and be like, we told you he's gone. You insisted. We gave you a chance. Nothing happened. I think it's time to get rid of him. But hopefully not. Hopefully Ansu Fati can shine because, again, I believe that Ansu is an incredibly talented player who unfortunately has been marred by injuries. And of course, another reason why I hope he does, because as always, I want all Barcelona players to succeed because if Barcelona players succeed, the team succeeds. And after all, isn't that what we all want? Of course it is. All right, that is all the news. Let's look at the comment section. Because Sia Bonga says, hey, Mo, it's 1 a.m. in South Africa, and I stayed up to ask you this question. Are teams making money in the UEFA by winning games in a new format like they did last season? If yes, how much? Great question. And I wish I had a correct answer for you. As far as how much? The answer is yes. Teams do make money for each victory. How much? I don't know. Because it's a new format. There's more matches. There's more teams, so I don't know how much. I don't think there are many people out there who do either, because again, new format, no one knows anything. Even UEFA's figuring it out as they go, right? First year of anything, it's always going to be kind of like a trial year where you learn things. So I don't know how much. I know that they do make money for each victory. How much, we don't know. I imagine it could be more because with more clubs, more people watching, more TV, higher TV rights, profits, more sponsors, etc., etc., etc. How much? I don't know. I'm sure we'll know more by the end of the season because, again, first year, it's a trial year. No one knows anything. We're just trying to figure things out still. Dr. Knight said, it's been a while since I joined the podcast. Who missed me? I missed you, my friend. Thank you for joining the podcast. I hope you join more often. And Best in the Game says, does Barca have any plans on Jonathan David, the striker? They're definitely eyeing him. He will be a free agent in the summer. So Barcelona believe that he's a great market opportunity. And Ahmad says, it sounds like you're feeling confident about the upcoming matches. Having a full squad without injuries is definitely a big boost. Do you think there will be any specific challenges in those games? Yes, specific challenges. It's Bayern, it's Madrid. In Bayern, we have that ghost, right? That ghost hanging on our heads of the 8-2, of the other defeats that we suffered on their hands, and that's something that's going to be hard to shake. Madrid is always challenging, especially at the Santiago Bernabeu. JC says, also, where does Font get these numbers? Because it feels like he's just throwing shit at the fan. Also, him including the SPY Barca debt makes no sense as of now because it has a grace period. I agree about the SPY Barca debt because, yes, it is a grace period this whole year. Barcelona will not start paying the stadium until summer of 2025. Not to mention, that's a different kind of debt. It's a secure debt that will be getting paid from the profits of the Camp Nou. So the Camp Nou is going to generate around 350, 400 million per season. From those 400 million, 100 will go to pay the investors every year automatically. So that's not debt that's going to factor into Barcelona's spending because that's debt that's getting paid by itself, like a recurring, like a revolving door, I guess, right? It's kind of like the difference between credit card debt versus you buying a rental property. You buy a rental property, you rent it out to tenants. The tenants are paying you rent. And from that rent, part of it, you pay the mortgage of that rental property and the rest are profits, right? That's not the same as having a credit card debt. Same thing. SPY Barca debt is not the same as the other debt, as the loans that Barcelona have. And that's a very important distinction. And Victor Font is very aware of that distinction. But of course, he's trying to score political points. So he's not going to make that distinction. He's going to lump it all together and be like, the debt is 2 billion. The club is broke. I'm going to save it. How? I don't know. I'm just too busy criticizing Laporta. Miguel says, we really have to start searching for a replacement for Lewandowski. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Romain says, Mo, did you say Messi not be as good in 50 years because it will be more modern? What? You mean no, because football is already professionalized. During Pelé, it was not a professional sport. Get it? That's the difference. Will football be more fast, more intense in 50 years? Sure. But it's going to remain just as professional as it is today. Football during Pelé was not as professional as it is today. Many of the people that Pelé played against were, again, literally farmers, bakers, teachers, people who had careers and on the weekend played football. Imagine what Messi would do against teams that were made up of farmers and doctors and whatever. He would have 20 goals per match. Get it? Jesse says, Mo, maybe I'm mistaken, but I definitely saw ordinary profit as 12 million and net profit 91 million. It was just some page and confused them. I think 12 million justifies our increased La Liga wage cap this season. I don't know what the 91. I just remember seeing the 12 million profit. Let's see. And Ahmad says, I can't go a day without watching your videos, Mo. Your updates are the only news I care about. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, my friend. And with that, we will end the live stream, and then we'll be posting a video later tonight. So stay tuned. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And as always, peace, guys.